What's so interesting about reflecting my life that I started 4 or 5 days ago is that there are more and more stuff that I can check and balance as to how I have lived, what I may have learned, and how I reflect those days from my current situation and see if there's any gap. And in that process, I realized few interesting thoughts. Two of them, one is from Charlie Munger. He's a famous, respected inventor. And his life by itself is interesting, but the main point that I can focus on is his famous saying. He said, "Don't go where you die." And knowing something about investment, I have gone through business school, and having lived, I think that's a profound statement. And if you know that, and you practice it, like he is, I think he's 98 years old, you may live long, wealth, and happy life. Don't go where you die. And there are many other stuff that I already talked about. I think I call it the wisdom of Charlie Munger. And I need to dig into it more. But one of the points that I reflect from going through my life, early days, is that saying, don't go where you die. I was curious to explore things. And in the previous video, I may have mentioned that I wanted to try so many things. I have so much interest, desire, explore life. And one way to learn is experience it, not just think and understand. So I needed to experience, which I did. And I had the painful learning, and that gave me a sense of not to repeat. It's like a plan, do, check, act, PDCA cycle of continuous improvement. So I think I was trying, except that my energy level is so high in terms of curiosity, and I was curious what I can do in my life. So I tried all sorts of things. Reading many books is one, and experiencing many things, even to the point of pushing too much. So along with the Charlie Munger's point, I need to learn, don't go where you die. That's the process I should have practiced early on, but I kept on pushing forward. But the second part that I felt interesting is the saying of Matsushita, Konosuke Matsushita. I have tons of books, I have studied a lot, and my books have a lot of influence came from Matsushita about the management philosophy. But he goes beyond the management, but managing life and relating to others with compassion and wisdom. And there's a book about Sunao Mind, which is basically like mind which is calm and quiet and go beyond the narrow-mindedness that I was talking about, also related to David Bohm that I was sharing. Dark side of the mind and the universal side of the mind, which is like my point of two universes. One is the universe within the mind, but there's much bigger universe beyond. So it's like reflecting in my life, look at myself in the mirror. I look at myself with the eye beyond me, as if the universe is looking myself. It's just like the eye of Eckhart I have mentioned about. The eye with which you see the world is the eye with which the God sees me, something of that nature. So in this process of reflection, I mentioned already that I was curious and related to Thomas Alva Edison. 99% perspiration, so I was sticking my neck up in many directions and to find the 1% of inspiration. But Matsushita's book about the Sunao Mind, and he talks about I have to go back to this book again some other time, but main thing is that the last chapter, what are the key issues, 10 things that we need to think about so that we can create or educate ourselves to have this Sunao mind. And what's amazing is that the fastest 2 out of those 10 items he talks about is very much to my liking. The first one is to have the strong wish, strongly with passion to desire certain things that you feel right. And I totally agree, especially related to Thomas Alva Edison, and I had the energy, curiosity to push, maybe more than needed, but that's the point about don't go over the place where you die. So the Matsushita's saying of a strong desire has to be related to Charlie Munger's point of don't go where you die. So that's one element that I found out of this Matsushita, which I may want to come back later. But the other thing, which I am doing, the second part out of the 10 items Matsushita talked about, is called the Jiko Kansho. Jiko itself, and Kansho is reflect. It's kind of like a mirror mind, or there are 4 types of wisdom in Buddhism they talk about, and one of them is the mirror, Daien Kyochi, big mirror wisdom or something, that you see yourself, what's going on. So you have to have some reflecting process to live your life. And one point that I mentioned was a diary exchange with my friend, which is like a reflection of myself, but through someone else's eye. But I found a lot about what he sees me so different from what I see myself. So I realized that's important. So this Jiko Kansho, the self-reflection, to have the third eye as if to look at yourself, is very important. Objective view, and I can relate that because my doing this reflection on my life right now is exactly to check myself from various angles. And the process may look kind of chaotic, but there's a principal way of like a plan, do, check, act, check and balance, objective view, and also to reflect on Charlie Munger's point of don't go where you die. I have, at this moment, one issue that I still need to resolve, and I was testing my limit, and again, that's tied to my curiosity and doing my best, but it's kind of like a backfiring. I'm not in the right position, so I have to make sure that I don't die, because if you lose the balance, which I reflect on this life profile idea, which I have done, but still I have such strong desire wanting to do the right thing for the best of the society. But if it's too strong, and if you kill yourself in the process, it's a big mistake. So early on in my life, I was checking how I lived and where are the interests, the ways that I look at the world with a passion and curiosity. But still, there has to have an objective view of reflection, myself. So the whole point may be just obvious. The saying of don't go where you die is obvious. But the reflection, self-reflection, yet one thing I can say is that eventually you die, and if what you believe is right for the society, you may extend your limit in that direction for the sake of the good that you may have for the society. So there may be some more learning I have to go through. Be alive, and then check with this waku-waku sense of aliveness that I've got, because that may give me a sense of my aliveness and the society's aliveness. So there's a certain level of alignment, and that's where Matsushita seemed to be talking about. Easy to ask the question, may not be easy to answer the question, but that's life. And I believe this process I'm going through makes sense. Well, self-justification, reflection of my mirror, but that's what I'm confirming. And with the good spirit, positive spirit, I want to keep going this process. Thank you.